Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Let's get started. After spending the last 2 weeks on summer break, Spokan City Council returned to their chambers tonight for a busy night of work. They are once again tackling issues tied to homelessness. KREM 2's Cody Proctor spent tonight following along. She joins us live in the studio with what happened. Cody?
Well, homelessness proved to be a big talker during Monday night's Spokan City Council meeting, but two agenda items took different approaches, with one establishing making being homeless a protected class, while the other would expand no camping zones. The first of the two to appear before Spokan City Council ended up being the first reading of an ordinance prohibiting illegal encampments from being within 1,000 feet of facilities offering comprehensive support services. That includes behavioral health facilities and addiction treatment facilities. It's an item that saw several people go up to the podium to comment.
I look at that and I will still say it's unconstitutional because people park, they camp at these places for their survival.
Addressing the prevalence of camping at locations around service providers is necessary now. It will be just as necessary in the years ahead when services are delivered at scattered site facilities across the city. The night's meeting rounded out with the final reading on an ordinance aiming to make being homeless a protected class under the city code. According to city documents, the item would add housing status to the city's list of protected classes and create stronger protections against discriminatory hiring and employment practices, property rights, and privacy rights for people dealing with homelessness. This also saw a lot of public comment, leading to the council to initially consider deferring the ordinance indefinitely. Councilmember Lily Navarrete sponsored the item.
We have received a lot of pros, a lot of cons on this. This is a topic that it's hot right now.
Councilmember Michael Cathcart was not happy about the move, citing the upcoming election.
So to defer it indefinitely makes me strongly believe that we are in for a 13-week pause, and then this will come back shortly after the voters have voted.
All right. All those in favor of a motion to defer for 2 weeks, say aye.
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 Spokan City Council ended up deferring the ordinance for 2 weeks. Now, as I mentioned, this final reading ended up being the big item of the night, one that we will continue to follow, especially as this proposed ordinance moves on. Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
All right, Cody, thank you very much. This week, Spokan Public Schools will discuss changes to its phone policy. The district plans to put a proposed ban in place with the start of the school in September. That proposed restrictions vary by grade level. For example, high schoolers would be barred from using phones in class, but allowed to use them during lunch and between classes, while elementary students would be completely banned from using them during school hours. The proposal is on the agenda for Wednesday meeting at 6 p.m. New tonight, Portland Public Schools announced all students in the district will be offered free breakfast and lunch for the upcoming school year. And to make things easier, students are automatically enrolled in the program, meaning parents do not need to apply or submit any paperwork. The funding comes in part from Oregon's Student Success Act, meaning it will cost the district very little. The Senior Director of Nutrition Services says access to nutritious meals is crucial to student success and well-being. All right, switching gears to talk weather. 2 days of hazy weather coming to an end. Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo joining us now with what's next. Jeremy?
Well, as we move through the next couple of days, calm weather. How about that? 75 degrees still. I said it was going to cool down tonight. We will make it into the low 60s, but getting there is a bit of a task. However, we do have some pretty nice, clean air. So if you want to open those windows, go for it. Air quality sits at good. Worst it gets overnight is moderate, and it's a similar story tomorrow. I think tomorrow morning is about as bad as it will be the next few days. We're watching our storms wind down. One last stray shower making its way just off to the north of Grand Coulee, and as that moves out, we are done for the evening. But it does look like we have a round of pretty strong thunderstorms moving over Lookout Pass early in the morning. By tomorrow afternoon, it moves up, moves out, and we just have a couple of stray showers in northern Washington. All in all, it doesn't look to be a bad day, really. I think most of the moisture stays up in the mountains early in the day, or a few isolated showers. Tomorrow winds up much cooler though. 81 for a high. That means our overnight lows will fall back into the 50s for the rest of the week as afternoon highs stay in the 80s.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. Thank you very much. Right now, the Washington State Department of Transportation is starting work to repave part of US 195 between Cornwall Road and Cheney Spokane Road. As a result, northbound drivers should expect delays between Spangle and Spokane between 7 at night and 6 in the morning. Preliminary work started tonight. The actual repaving begins next week. And now to our night beat with a quick look at today's top stories. Today we learned more about a growing list of suspects involved with the international kidnapping of a 2-year-old Pullman girl. Aaron Ong disappeared after a fishing trip with his toddler. Investigators believe he fled the country along with his fiancée, taking the child to Mexico to avoid returning her to her mother as part of a custody agreement. All three were located more than a month later in Mexico. Well, less than a week ago, Ong and his father were indicted by a federal grand jury, and we now know a third person will also be indicted, but we don't know their identity yet. We do know that third defendant faces conspiracy to commit and international parental kidnapping charges.
There is another defendant who was listed in the indictment and has been charged, but that information remains under seal pending that defendant's arrest or appearance in federal court.
Waldrop said there was no timeline on how soon the third defendant could be arrested. A truck driver facing permanent eye damage after being shot with a paintball while driving in Spokane Valley last week. According to his wife, Michael Catoni was driving a semi-truck at around 8:30 p.m. when he was hit. He then pulled over and called for help. His wife walked us through those first moments after getting the call from paramedics.
I was a nervous wreck because he called me and said that he'd been shot in the face. At that time, he had no idea that it was a paintball. It was really dark, and it actually hit him with quite a bit of force, and then he had no vision, so he really had no clue. I feel like we live in a generally very safe neighborhood. I don't feel like there's a lot of like riffraff or whatnot going down on the road.
Michael there saw a doctor earlier today, but his wife says he'll have to see a retina specialist to determine the extent of his injuries. Tonight, police still don't have a suspect, but there is a GoFundMe set up for the Catoni family. You can find that on our website, KREM.com. A 3-year-old in the hospital tonight after a bear attack in Montana. It happened last night just after 10 at a private campground south of Red Lodge. According to the Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks, that child was attacked while inside a tent. The toddler was rushed to a medical care in Billings. Tonight, the campground has been evacuated while wildlife officials work to try to capture the bear. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just head to our website, KREM.com. Well, a funding gap in North Idaho is putting meal services for hundreds of seniors at risk. According to the Coeur d'Alene Press, Lake City Center is now asking the community for help. State funding reimburses the center for part of each meal, but they say it's not enough to keep that program going. Lake City Center serves about 5,000 meals a month in North Idaho communities. In other news, former President Donald Trump was focused on cyber issues today as his campaign team says he was hacked. Trump's campaign says Iran is behind a hack that gained access to what appeared to be its research on Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance. The material was sent to Politico and the Washington Post in late July from an anonymous email account. Experts say more cyber attacks are likely.
We have a long way to go in this election. Iran specifically seems to have advanced their efforts, moved them to the left perhaps a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see Russia enter the fray soon.
Trump is also saying Vice President Harris used artificial intelligence to fake pictures showing large crowds at her rallies last week. However, CBS News was one of several news organizations on the campaign swing and verified crowd size estimates were accurate. In the meantime, Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz is expected to hold his first solo campaign tomorrow in L.A. Attorneys representing former President Donald Trump announced their client plans to sue the Department of Justice for what they call malicious political prosecution. In the legal notice, Trump's lawyers complained the FBI's court-approved search warrant of Mar-a-Lago in 2022 was improper. Trump's legal team also claims the indictment was improper. The filing states the former president is seeking $115 million in damages.
Crowd sort of getting behind as we have a bit of an earthquake here in Los Angeles. So we're just going to make sure that our studio lights, everything stays safe, everything's shaking. You good, Mylan? Everybody good? All right, thank you so much for bearing with me.
A 4.4 magnitude earthquake hit the greater Los Angeles area this morning. You can see right there in the studio that rattled during ESPN's NBA Today. It sparked a bit of a worry for people who live in the area. So far, though, all buildings seem to be okay and no injuries have been reported. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time. But